Okay, so here's what tacking it means. Below your seam line, that 1/2 inch seam line, you're going to line it up below there, just on one side. You have this open, okay? And it can be either way, because it's just to loop it through. So you're going to tack it, that means you're just going to sew up and down right at the edge so that it stays there. Okay, so that's the first step. So let's do that. Below the seam line, we're just going to sew like up and down a few times. Right at the edge. I'd say 1/4 inch is fine. And I'm just going to go forward and then back stitch all the way back and go forward one more time. I don't know if that's how you tack it, but that's how I'm tacking it. And then, okay, so now it's just sewn right there, it's tacked, see? Okay, so then, so you're going to sew from here 1/2 inch all the way down. You're going to fold it nicely to make sure. So here it is. I'm just going to clip it. Sorry if you can't see, I'll back it up a little here. It's the first time I'm doing this, can you tell? Alright, hold on. Just a little different, okay. So folding. I tacked it and I'm folding. Trying to see what I'm recording for you. Okay. Boom. This part's a little trickier, so I just want to, that's why I'm using more pins than when I just sewed it together. Because it's trickier for me, and the more pins you use, it seems more helpful. Okay. This one. Pin Pleat. Okay. So now we are going to sew. Remember that 1/2 inch? That 1/2 inch seam. We're just going to sew from the fold, right? 1/2 inch to create a casing. All the way down, right? It's going to make a little tunnel so that you can take this, stick it through there, and pull it through the other end and start bunching it. Let's do that. Taking the clip out because it gets in the way. Making sure I'm not sewing over the elastic. I suppose you could start from here and go down. Maybe that's the proper way. We'll just see what happens here. Little back stitch. So here I'm trying to keep an eye on this side to make sure that you know, it's staying fairly straight. Towards the end, little back stitch. Okay. Now a little bit of a fun part. So remember, we were using a long safety pin, long one. Let me zoom in a little. Using a long safety pin, not a little one like I first tried to do when I was trying to be cute. Okay, and then stick it back through the hole. Should be able to get it in there. You're going to see it. You can't see it probably on this. I'm sorry. All you see is my hands. You're going to stick it through that hole and start scrunching it, pushing it through. Scrunching is a technical term for all of us expert sewers. Okay, so see, I'm just taking it, scrunching it through, taking it, scrunching it through. Scrunching through. This part got really exciting the first time I did it because I've never done this, and it was a pocket and it was looking like it was supposed to look. I was super excited. Okay, see? See, it's pretty tight. That's because I'm using that 6-inch elastic. If you want bigger pockets, feel free to do the 12-inch. Let's see. And so now that it's at the other end, just taking a look at the directions to see how they put it. Pin the bottom pleat. Oh, wait. Run the elastic through the casing, then tack in place at the far corner of the pocket. So again, taking this, and we're just gonna sew up and down to tack it in place. Up and down right here to tack it in place. Make sure the elastic is sticking through there. And take the safety pin out if you want. Make it easier. Hopefully you don't lose it. Sorry, the angle's not good for seeing the needle, but you don't need to. We're gonna sew up and down, just like before. 3 times is what I did before. That's what I'm gonna do again. Carefully, you're a little close to the needle, so you want to pay attention. And it's tacked in place. So all of these little frays, cut them as you go along, they'll get in your way. But I'm gonna do that real quick and then show you. So remember those lines? Remember the lines that were at the ends? Those are just to help you mark where you fold, because you're going to have to fold this like so and like so, or however you want to. You're going to just fold it in a couple places when you sew it across the inside of the pocket. So let me just get that situated and we'll continue, and I'll zoom out so you guys can see better. Okay, so this is how I want my pocket to end up looking. Okay, so I've already prepared the pocket with the elastic piece hanging out, and I'm gonna stick it in the hole, run it all the way through to the end. I didn't actually have to do this on camera, but alright. Running it through, and then we're going to tack it at the end. Remember, we're going to run a stitch up and down at the end once it's gone through, not before. Okay. I was super excited when it started bunching up like that. It's the little things. Okay. So here it is, and I'm gonna pull it through, make sure I can tack it at the end. Gonna leave that, take the pin out actually, keep a good grip on it so it doesn't end up sliding back in. So we're tacking it up and down. Just going to go over it 3 times. Forward, back, back some more. Time. It's not perfect, but that looked worse than it was. Okay, so see, just up and down, that's all. Okay, now the directions say take pieces 4 and 5, and again the little darts help you line it up. If you try to do them, I mean, this is wrong sides facing each other. It doesn't make sense when I lined it up, like tried lining it this way, so it has to be this way. So I lined it up, and it says to pin your pleats, and this time we are going to use a pin, and a pleat is a fold, right? It's a fold at the bottom. So first let's pin it. I'm just using these little sharp pins. So really, and you can look for the line that was in there, so this one's here, right? So I'm just going to fold it, okay? Trying to keep all the fabrics together. Just a little fold. Okay, you want to like pull it, make sure it's all straight. And then I'm just going to stick a pin at the end here, straight through, and then up, so it comes up through the top, but that it's still straight. Okay, you don't want it to be bunched up. You'll find the next little blue line on the inside, which is here. I'll show it again. So I just folded it where that blue line is. Kind of happens naturally because the material's bunching. Pull it so you can see it's all straight, right? Take your pin. Hopefully you don't step on that later. Take your pin. Just gonna pin it straight through at the bottom, through all the material. So straight through at the bottom, through all the material, all the layers, right? And then you're gonna just aim it upward to come out through the top. You can see. So the point that, I mean, the bottom line is there's the pin and your pleat is folded and not bunched up or anything. And then the third blue line. And I suppose you could do this wherever you, how many times you like. So take it and pulling it, folding it over, grabbing my pin that fell. So here, see my little pin? I'm going to make sure it goes through all the fabric. All the fabric. Right? If you pull it or tug on it a little, you'll see it's straight, not straight, but that it's flat. You can lay it flat. So then I'm just taking this and doop, pointing it upward, poking it through so it comes out the top. Okay, you do this because you're going to be sewing this against pieces 4 and 5 all the way around, 1/4 inch seam. So remember, I want to have Wonder Woman facing the outside. So what I did is did this part and this part all facing each other, using those little the handy darts to line it up. This time I'm just going to clip. When you do this, make sure you get the elastic, and you're going to be sewing over that. You're going to be sewing just, you know, up and down to make sure you get it in there, 1/4 inch seam. And just line it up all the way around. As many or as little clips as you feel you need. This one's tougher, so I'm putting them about about an inch apart. Not over my pin. I'll be removing that as I sew along. So now I'm going to line these darts up on the other side. You might have noticed I have more material. I'll show you what I mean. Look, you see that? I have like this big gap. That just means I could put another pleat somewhere to fold it, or a bigger pleat. So I'm going to take this out. Remember, I did the 6-inch, so 6-inch elastic. So I'm just folding it more, basically, just to make sure I can line it up, and then I'll pin it. He fixed it. So those blue lines, you can use them as guides, but if they don't work out, make the necessary adjustments so that everything is lined up. Nothing should be hanging over a lot. Okay? Your darts should be meeting up. And again, you want to make sure you're catching all the layers. In this case, there's 4, right? You want to make sure that you're catching all 4 layers, and especially down here, you want to make sure you're catching all 4 layers, because if you don't, when you turn it the right way, you'll have holes and gaps down here. So, you know, 1/4-inch seams is what they say, but if, you know, you're new like me, maybe go a little bit more, just to make sure you're catching everything. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then we'll move on to the next piece. I actually decided to record this because maybe you haven't worked with curves, or not a lot anyway. Let's see if I can zoom in. Curves are pretty easy once you get used to it, so I did a back and forth over this elastic part, and so now I'm going to keep going down, making sure I have all 4 layers in there. I'm going slower because this part's trickier. Then go, go, go. And when you get towards the end, you don't want to go off, right? You lift up your foot. That's your foot. Pivot. Put it back down and continue, making sure that you catch all 4 layers. Pulling the pin out, but holding it down with my finger so it lays flat. Taking out the clips so they don't get trapped under the foot. Taking this pin out too. Making adjustments as I go. Pedal to the metal. To the end, but not all the way to the end. I'm starting probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch in. You go a little more, but lift the foot, turn, take out the clips if they're in your way. You might be saying, oh, that doesn't look good. Well, I don't think so, because you can't really see. I'm thinking that, but as long as the 4 layers are together, that's the most important part. Okay? So I'm trying to keep those 4 layers together, and remember, I'm going to go all the way down across that elastic piece too. Back stitch. So much thread when I pull that last piece out, I know. Okay. Cutting away the frays so they don't become too much of a nuisance later. So let me zoom out. Zoom out. So there. Now I'm going to check it. Hopefully there's not going to be any holes at the bottom. Another thing is you can cut off these darts, just the darts, so that it's not bulky. You don't need those anymore. Okay. So I'm turning it inside out because I want to make sure. I mean, you could cut this too at the corner. You just want to make sure you don't cut the seam, but you could cut that off too, so it's not as bulky. I'll probably do that, but right now I want to make sure there's no holes. Remember that I said how important it was to make sure you're at least catching everything. So there's no holes. So that looks good as far as no holes. No holes. Sweet. Good, good, good. So cutting away the bulk, just be careful not to cut into your seams, of course. But yeah, see, like this is what I was talking about, it not looking good, but I cut all of it, so that's good. I'm not going to cut a lot, just a little bit. Okay. On to the next part in a moment, but I want to figure some stuff out again. I haven't done this for like a month, so just want to remind myself about the rest of it and cut all these little parts. Don't let them become too much of a nuisance. If you get enough of them. Okay, I'll keep working on that.